Hello students. This video is going to go over your computer assignment, your first computer assignment. So this is the instruction sheet, which we'll go over kind of step by step to help you understand how to do some of the things we have learned in class and apply them into Excel. So let's move that over here. We're going to work with this data. So the first step is to enter your name in this blue shaded in area. There we go. Third step is highlight. You notice that every time we press a value, like every time you go into a cell, you press delete, these values are changing. Values are changing to give us all sufficient practice in manipulating and summarizing data. So the first thing we would need to do, because we don't want this data to change as we are working on it, is to highlight all the data. You can right click copy, or you can press Control C, and then we want to right click paste special, click on that and click on values. That basically stops these values from changing. So you can go to a different cell, press delete, in an empty cell, nothing is changing. We can type in your name again. Nothing changes. So now we know that our data is fixed. So the first thing we want to do is create a column graph. We went over this in a lab, a computer practice last week. But to do the any type of graphing, we go into the Insert tab, and we're going to create just really basic 2D column graph. There is our column graph. We want to change the title. So if you just click on the title and start typing, even though it doesn't look like you are typing anywhere, you can look at the formula bar up there, and if I can spell correctly, restaurants. Press enter, and there is our restaurants. We want to add data labels. So we can right click on one of the columns, click data labels, and there we go. Everyone's going to have a different graph. Everyone's going to have different data. Just gives us all sufficient practice. We can double click on a column. Which one? I like Popeyes. Double click on that column, and we can go into the Home tab, change that color, for example. Second part, or the next part, is to create a pie chart. So once again, highlight your data, insert pie chart. I'm going to go with a basic pie chart. I'm going to put it right there. Add data labels to the pie section. So we want to right click, add data labels. And then if we do that again, right click, format data labels. Go over here, and the instructions state to include category names and percentages with nothing else except for show leader lines. We want that. And then we also want it to be situated, the labels to be on the outside of the each section of the pie. So we click on outside, we click inside, then it goes inside, center, makes a mess. So we want it outside, and that's all we need with that window. So we make this graph a little bigger if you want. We can click on that name. We can add a name to this graph. We don't need the legend anymore, so we can just click on that, hit delete. We can draw out McDonald's, and there's those leader lines. But basically, you want your legend close to the section of the pie, so most cases, they're already sufficient. One of the steps in the lab component is to drag one of the restaurant pie sections away from the pie chart. So let's go with Dairy Queen. So double click on that and just move that out a little bit. There you go. Looks like Pac-Man eating a little bit of ice cream. So that is what we do with our graphing. We have the data, we highlight it, and then we can create that data table. Next thing I want to do is spend a little bit of time going on to the next sheet. We have this IQ sheet. This is a list of IQ. You know, the intelligent quotient test that some people do. This is a series of data. Now, once again, If you go into a blank cell, press delete, all these values are changing. So in order to stop that from changing, we highlight all the data, right-click copy or press Control-C, and basically without moving the data, we can right-click right on that A2, paste special, click on that, oops, and then click on values. So now we go into a blank cell, nothing changes. So of course you are working with different data than I am. Your graph back in the restaurants is going to look different because these numbers are different. So following the instructions here in step 6 is we want to use Excel functions to count how many pieces of data we have and find the max and the min. So I'm going to type in these functions. The functions in bold on the instruction sheet are basically how we enter that function. So we go equals count, bracket, highlight all your data. Do the same thing for max. The function for max is simply max, M-A-X, bracket, highlight all your data, close your bracket. Min, same thing. The range is not a function. You'll notice on the formula sheet, it's not bolded. So this, on the instruction sheet, I should say, it's not bolded. The range is a formula. The formula is max minus min. So we click on that max value, then we can click on that min value, and there is our range. Optimal number of classes for step 7. Optimal number of classes, we can do this on paper, or you can let Excel kind of do the formula for you. Formulas in Excel always start with the equal sign. So it's 1 plus 3.33 times that asterisk above the 8 log, in bracket, log of the count number. So we can click on 180, or you can just manually type in 180. This will give us the OOC, the optimal number of classes. However, we want the optimal class width. So the optimal class width formula is, in Excel, equals, click on that range value, divided by the OOC number we just calculated. And this gives us a value of 8.93. So step 8 is now to create a data table, the classifications. We are going to use a class width of 10. So 8.9, close enough to 10. So let's just go ahead and create this data table in this section using a class width of 10. The instructions sheet says that the first class is going to be less than 70. So then the next class is going to be 70 to under 80. Manually type in these ones until the last class. It says the last class will be 130 and more. $130 and more. All right, so that's step 8. Step 9 is something that we haven't talked about in class because it's only needed when we are trying to get Excel to do some of the work for us in this data table. The next thing we have to do is basically go through this 180 piece data set here and determine how many are less than 80 or less than 70. How many are between 70 and 80. That's going to take a lot of time. So we want Excel to do some of that work for us. So in step 9, it gets us to create this bin number. The bin number is the largest number that will go in each class. So the first class says less than 70. So we know that the largest number that should go in that class is 69. 70 to under 80, the largest number will be 79. 80 to 90, the largest number that would go in that class would be 89 then. You can kind of see a pattern here. This last one, what we're going to do, because basically it's an infinite number, we are going to enter the max value. Or we're going to enter in whatever max value you have. So there's my max. Your max value could be something different. So that's what we're adding in for that bin number. That bin number is going to be a little different. Next thing we have to do is we're going to use a data analysis tool, which if you don't have in Excel, you can add this in. And there's a video that I will show how to add this in. So go into the Data tab. It should be right here. Once again, if it's not there, there's another video that I have included that shows you how to get that data analysis tool. So data analysis, we want to find histogram. It's right there in blue. Yours might not be, it might be something else, but it should be listed there in alphabetical order. Click on OK. The input range, all of the green numbers we have. The bin range, all of those bin numbers that we have calculated from 69 right down to 131. And we're going to select new worksheet ply and make sure that chart output is selected. What this will do is it'll send us to a new worksheet, but it'll do all the counting for us. Look at that, it's created this data table and this graph, this histogram. Now, a couple things you want to do with this graph or with this data table is you want to go back to that IQ sheet, copy all of these classes, not the title, just copy, Control C or right click copy those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those 8 titles. You might have, or classes, you might have 7, you might have 8 or 9. Go back to that sheet 4 and paste it above that first bin number. And we can extend that column width and look that those classes are now part of this histogram. Your histogram will automatically give you one extra row. We don't want this row right in here. We don't want that row because it's meaningless for us. This is a row that Excel always puts in just to make sure that we have told Excel how to create the histogram correctly. We don't want it. And look at the space on the histogram as well. So we want to get rid of it. If you get rid of it by just highlighting and pressing delete, this spot is still there. So we don't want to just do that. What you want to do is right click on that row, whatever that row number is. In my case, it's row 10, and press delete. And you'll notice that it's no longer part of the histogram. So a couple things here before I have to start a new video is we want to right click on one of the columns, and we want to format data series, and we want to change that gap width to 0. We can get rid of that legend frequency. We can make it a little bigger. Histogram. We can add data labels. And there is your histogram. Of course, your histogram is going to look different because your values are going to be different, but it should be something similar to that. So what we're going to do in the next video is finish off with this lab exercise, or for this for your first lab assignment, computer assignment. So stay tuned.